Hey everyone, I want to share a little bit of wisdom that came from a session that I did recently with a client about validation. So this conversation is for you if you consider yourself to be somebody who maybe is often seeking reassurance or validation or approval from the people in your life, whether it's work, family, intimate relationships, friendships, whatever it may be. This conversation may also be for you if you tend to self-identify as a people pleaser or a perfectionist as well. And so what I'm wanting to share with you is the cause and effect of validation. And I want to share the cause and effect of validation from two different perspectives. So anybody who follows my work or has worked with me before, you understand that I talk a lot about there being two different aspects of our mind. So we all have our thinking mind, or sometimes I'll refer to it as our limited mind, our conscious mind. Some might call it our ego mind. It's the very logical, analytical, rational part of our mind. And then we also have what I call our heart mind, which is the source of our inner being, our inner wisdom, our higher self, whatever you want to call it, right? So we have these two different parts of our mind. And from a validation perspective, these two different parts of our mind are looking at the experience of being validated very, very differently. And so when I am validated, when I receive some sort of compliment or approval or reassurance from somebody, I immediately feel good. It feels good to be validated. And I think part of what our inner being wants us to know is that it's okay to feel good. It feels good, and it's okay to desire being validated. It's okay to desire being surrounded by people who approve of us, people who validate us, people who see us for who we truly are. This is something that is very, I think, very healthy for us to desire to have in our life. And so the way in which I want to talk about this is that the way in which our mind, so let's call it our limited mind, sees validation or experiences validation is that it goes, I was validated, and the effect of that is that I feel good, right? And so now we have a cause and effect, which is what I would call a mental association, because the limited mind is now going, I was validated, I feel good. Validated, I feel good, right? And so it's almost like a repeat experiment too, because every time we feel validated, we generally feel pretty darn good about it, right? And so over time, this can create a really strong mental bond in which we become now dependent, because the mind sees that there's this cause and the effect is feeling good. And so if this association is strengthened enough, we become dependent on validation in order to feel good, right? And if we look at this though, if we kind of set that experience of validation aside and we look at it from what our inner wisdom, our inner being really wants us to understand about validation, is that the cause and effect looks a little bit differently from our heart perspective, right? So the cause is no longer being validated. The effect is being validated, and the cause for that effect actually exists somewhere back here in our present. This is part of the law of karma, right? The law of karma says that our current experience in this present moment, the cause for our experience in this present moment actually exists at some moment in our past. So some past thought, feeling, behavior, action, or mental intention is creating the cause for my current experience of joy or sadness or shame or whatever it may be. But some incident, some experience in the past is the cause for what I am experiencing in the present moment. And so I don't want you to accept that as your truth, right? I want you to take it like a hypothesis and test it in your life. Is the cause for my feeling good really that I was validated, Or was I validated because of something that I did in the past? And so look at this. So what my client was able to see for herself, she recently experienced a lot of compliments, the receiving of a lot of compliments and validation from some of the people in her life. And it felt really good. But what she was able to see in session was that the cause of the compliment and the validation actually came from who she was in relationship with these people over the past 2 years of her life. They weren't complimenting and validating her because of who she was in that moment. They were complimenting her and validating her because of how she had shown up for them in her life. And so when we look at it from this lens, we can totally understand that our dependence on validation is the word that's there is incorrect, right? It's an incorrect or an invalid or maybe even delusional way of looking at validation. And when we really truly understand that the validation that we receive, that we have already participated in the cause of that validation, we can still feel good, right? Because it feels good to be validated, and we can still feel good, but we can break that mental association in our mind that says, I am dependent on this validation being present in order to feel good. And that is really how we heal, how we let go of that need and that desire to constantly be validated and reassured. It's part of how we let go of that desire to always be people pleasing, because people pleasing is a learned behavior so that we can receive validation, so that we can feel good, right? So you can see how this chain of events, which all starts from our limited mind, making these very logical conclusions that are not based in reality. So I wanted to share that with you. I hope it touches the ears of anybody who maybe needed to hear it or needed to understand it in this way. I'd love to hear from you if you resonate with this conversation, if any aha moments or insights popped up for you. I'd love to hear about it down in the comments below. I'm wishing you much love in your healing journey wherever you're at today, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.